FIRst CO and TTT and Semisail. The Galactic Alliance vessel Infinite Discovery slid silently into Earth's orbit, its quantum stealth systems rendering it completely invisible to the primitive tracking technology of the humans below. On the observation deck, Science Director Zilith adjusted her breathing apparatus, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she gazed down at the blue-green planet. Remarkable biodiversity, she noted, dictating to the ship's recording system. Atmosphere heavily oxygen-based. Dominant species shows rudimentary technological development and concerning levels of environmental degradation. Commander Thren, the mission leader, joined her at the viewport. His scaled skin shimmered under the observation deck's soft lighting. Your preliminary assessment, Director. Class C civilization. Pre-space travel, though they've managed some basic orbital capabilities and lunar exploration, Zilith replied. The usual developmental pattern we've seen 1,000 times across the galaxy. Duration of observation period, Thren asked. Standard protocol suggests 50 solar cycles. We'll keep a small monitoring station in Jupiter's orbit. The humans shouldn't develop sufficient technology to detect it within that time frame. Commander Thren nodded, his crest flattening in what his species considered a gesture of agreement. The Council will want a full cultural evaluation as well. Already in progress, Zilith said. I've dispatched cultural anthrodromes to gather data. They're currently analyzing information networks, literature repositories, and historical archives. 3 days later, Zilith called an emergency meeting of the ship's senior staff. The anthrodromes had completed their cultural assessment, and the results were perplexing. They're obsessed with impossibility, she explained, projecting holographic images throughout the conference room. Their literature, entertainment, even their religions, all filled with beings performing physically impossible feats. The images cycled through, humans lifting massive objects, flying without technology, moving faster than their physical bodies should allow, surviving in hostile environments without protection. Flight without technology isn't unusual in primitive mythologies, said cultural specialist Thren. Many species dream of capabilities they don't possess. It's more than that, Zilith insisted. Their entire cultural framework is built around transcending limitations. They call it heroism, the concept that individuals can overcome impossible odds through sheer force of will. It's embedded in everything from their earliest oral traditions to their most recent entertainment media. Commander Thren's upper limbs twitched in amusement. A charming fantasy for a species still burning fossil fuels. There's something else, Zilith continued. They have a peculiar form of speculative fiction they call science fiction. Stories that imagine future technological developments. Some are remarkably prescient. Many species imagine technologies before creating them, Thren pointed out. True, but the humans take it further. They don't just imagine the technology. They imagine reshaping themselves with it, transcending their biological limitations, becoming something more. Commander Thren dismissed the concern with a flick of his tail. Primitive wishful thinking. The real test is what they actually build, not what they imagine. I recommend extending the observation period, Zilith said firmly. There's something unusual about their cognitive patterns. Denied, Thren said. The Alliance has 17 potentially spacefaring civilizations under observation. Resources are limited. Standard 50-cycle observation period stands. The final assessment was filed in the Alliance archives under Developing Civilizations, low priority. Humans display average technological progression, but exceptional creativity in fictional narratives. Their myths and legends suggest a species with delusions of grandeur but limited practical capability. While their imagination is noteworthy, their technological development follows standard patterns. Recommend reevaluation in 50 solar cycles. The Infinite Discovery departed Earth's orbit the following day, leaving behind only a small automated monitoring station near Jupiter. Its mission parameters were simple: observe and record, but never interfere. Nobody on the ship considered that the monitoring station itself might become the catalyst for humanity's great leap forward. 2 years after the Infinite Discovery's departure, NASA astronaut Dr. Eleanor Chen was piloting a routine resource mapping mission near Jupiter when her instruments detected an anomaly. "Houston, I'm picking up some unusual readings at coordinates 23.7 by 45.2, she reported. Doesn't match any known space debris or natural formation. Copy that, Explorer. Can you get visual confirmation? Mission Control responded. Dr. Chen adjusted her trajectory, bringing her small craft closer to the anomaly. I'm not sure how to describe this, Houston. It appears to be a structure. Definitely not natural. Definitely not one of ours. The revelation sent shockwaves through Earth's governments. Emergency meetings were convened. Military alerts were raised. For the first time in human history, irrefutable evidence existed that humanity was not alone in the universe. When the initial panic subsided, a multinational team of scientists and engineers was assembled to study the alien monitoring station from a safe distance. Leading the team was Dr. Marcus Williams, a quantum physicist with a background in reverse engineering. "It's observing us," Dr. Williams concluded after 3 months of careful study. "Collecting data, running analyses, and transmitting to somewhere beyond our solar system. It's completely automated. No life forms aboard." "Can we disable it?" asked General Rebecca Stern, the military liaison. "We could," Williams replied. "But I'm proposing something much more valuable. We learn from it instead." What followed was the most classified scientific undertaking in human history. Nations that had been enemies for generations pooled their resources and brightest minds. The Jupiter Research Station was constructed under the guise of a mining operation, allowing scientists to work in proximity to the alien technology. Progress was slow at first. The alien materials and computing systems operated on principles that human science had barely begun to theorize about. But humans, true to their nature, persisted. Dr. Williams kept a personal log of the project. Day 367. "We've managed to decipher portions of their data storage systems. They're studying us like we're lab specimens. They've categorized us as Class G civilization, essentially primitive with limited potential. Their report dismisses our fictional narratives as delusions of grandeur. If only they knew what we're capable of when challenged." Day 489. Breakthrough in understanding their propulsion systems today. What they've achieved isn't impossible. It's just physics we haven't mastered yet. The principles are there in theories we've been developing. They're only a century or two ahead of us, not millennia as we initially feared. Day 612. We've accessed their communications protocols. They're sending regular reports to a network of similar stations throughout the galaxy. We now know they call themselves the Galactic Alliance. 27 species that have achieved space travel. Humanity isn't included on their list of potential candidate species. We're deemed low priority for contact, scheduled for revaluation in 50 years. Day 843. We've begun adapting their technology to human engineering principles. The quantum computing elements are particularly promising. If we can successfully integrate these with our own systems, we could advance our technological capabilities by decades in a single leap. 10 years after the discovery of the monitoring station, the United Earth Space Initiative was formed. Publicly announced as a collaborative effort to explore the solar system, privately dedicated to preparing humanity for eventual contact with the Galactic Alliance. In underground facilities around the world, engineers worked tirelessly to adapt and improve upon the alien technology they'd studied. The aliens' dismissal of humanity as a low-priority species became the driving force behind an unprecedented technological revolution. "They think we're primitive dreamers," Dr. Williams told the assembled engineers and scientists on the 15th anniversary of the station's discovery. "They've examined our myths, our stories, our fictional narratives, and concluded that we're delusional, imagining capabilities beyond our reach. Let's show them just how wrong they are." The first prototype vessels were tested in the shadows of Jupiter's massive storms, hidden from the monitoring station's sensors by cleverly applied countermeasures based on the station's own technology. Each generation of ships incorporated more advanced adaptations of the alien technology, but with distinctly human innovations. "We're not just copying their work," Chief Engineer Eneka Patil explained during a test flight of the prototype vessel Prometheus. "We're reimagining it. They built their technology around their own physical limitations and cultural assumptions. We're building ours around human potential." The Prometheus wasn't just a spacecraft. It was a statement of human ingenuity. Its neural interface system allowed the pilot to control the ship as naturally as moving their own body. Its adaptive hull could reconfigure in response to different environmental conditions. Its quantum engines could achieve speeds the Alliance considered theoretically impossible for a newly spacefaring species. And most importantly, it was completely undetectable to Alliance scanning technology. By the 30th year after the discovery, Earth had secretly constructed a fleet of 20 vessels, unlike anything the Galactic Alliance had ever seen. Each ship was named after a figure from human mythology, beings who had performed impossible feats. Hercules, Maui, Karna, Isis, Atlas. Admiral Helena Ortiz, appointed as the fleet's first commander, addressed the crews before their first coordinated training mission beyond the solar system. "For 30 years, we've prepared in secret while being watched and dismissed. The Alliance believes we're centuries away from joining the galactic community. They've studied our legends and concluded we're merely dreamers. They fail to understand the most important thing about humanity. Our legends aren't just stories. They're blueprints for what we intend to become." The fleet departed Earth's solar system under complete stealth, leaving the Alliance monitoring station still dutifully reporting that humans remained a primitive planet-bound species preoccupied with impossible myths. The Alliance would continue to believe this right up until the moment humanity made their dramatic entrance onto the galactic stage. The Worry-Ck-Oning. Grand Counselor Vexin of the Galactic Alliance sat motionless in his private chamber, all 6 eyes fixed on the emergency report hovering before him. After 3 centuries of relative peace, the unthinkable had happened. The Scourge had returned. The Scourge, a collective of mineral-based life forms that consumed energy systems and technology, had nearly destroyed the Alliance 500 years earlier. Only by abandoning entire sectors of space and countless colonies had the Alliance survived. The peace treaty that followed had been simple. The Alliance would remain in their territories, and the Scourge would remain in theirs. Now the reports showed Scourge scout ships probing Alliance borders. The treaty was ending, and the Alliance was no more prepared to face this threat than they had been 5 centuries ago. Options. Vexin asked the military high command assembled in his chamber. Fleet Admiral Drax, a massive reptilian being with ceremonial battle scars covering his scales, responded grimly. "Limited, Counselor. The Scourge technology has continued to evolve, as has ours, but the fundamental problem remains. Their vessels can absorb our energy weapons, and their mineral composition makes physical weapons minimally effective. Casualties projections. If they launch a full invasion, we estimate 30% of Alliance worlds will be lost in the first standard year, another 40% in the second year. Complete Alliance collapse within 5 years." Vexin's outer membrane fluctuated, his species equivalent of a heavy sigh. "Evacuation plans. In progress, but we have a new variable to consider," said Intelligence Director Mila, activating a holographic display showing a solar system at the edge of Alliance space. "We've detected unusual activity near monitoring station Earth 7734. Earth, the Class C civilization." Vexin's membrane rippled in confusion. "They're centuries from being relevant to Alliance concerns." "That's what we believed," Mila said, "but our monitoring station has detected energy signatures inconsistent with Earth's documented technological level." The signatures briefly appeared and then vanished, suggesting capabilities well beyond what a Class C civilization should possess. "Elaborate," Vexin demanded. The energy signatures match nothing in our database. They appeared to be faster than light drives, but operating on principles our scientists cannot explain. Then there's this. She expanded the hologram to show a recording from an Alliance border outpost. The recording showed a Scourge scout ship pursuing an Alliance research vessel. The research vessel was clearly damaged, unable to escape. Then, seemingly from empty space, another ship appeared, sleek, with an organic-looking design unlike anything in the Alliance fleet. It moved with impossible agility, interposing itself between the research vessel and the Scourge ship. "What Alliance design is that?" Vexen asked. "It's not ours," Mila said quietly. "Observe the markings." The hologram zoomed in on the hull of the mysterious vessel. There, in clear script, was a word. Athena. "That's a human word," Vexen said, recalling the cultural briefings on various observed species. "From their mythology. A being of wisdom and strategic warfare." "Correct," Mila confirmed. "And watch what happens next." The recording continued. The mystery ship, this Athena, fired no weapons at the Scourge vessel. Instead, it emitted a field of energy that somehow nullified the Scourge ship's systems. Within moments, the hunter became the hunted as the Scourge vessel drifted powerless in space. "Impossible," Admiral Drax whispered. "Nothing can neutralize Scourge technology like that. We've tried for centuries." The recording ended with the Athena vanishing as quickly as it had appeared, leaving the disabled Scourge ship drifting in space. The Alliance research vessel reported being rescued by an unknown ship that refused to identify itself beyond the name on its hull. Mila continued. "When our investigation team reached the location, the Scourge vessel was still there, completely inert. Not destroyed, but somehow deactivated. Its energy absorption capabilities had been neutralized." Vexen's chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. "Are you suggesting," Vexen finally said, "that the humans, a species we catalogued as primitive dreamers obsessed with impossible achievements, have somehow developed technology capable of defeating the greatest threat the Alliance has ever faced?" "I'm suggesting," Mila replied carefully, "that we may have catastrophically misjudged them." 3 days later, a formal diplomatic vessel was dispatched to Earth's solar system. Its mission: to establish first contact with a species that the Alliance had been observing for decades but had never officially acknowledged. The diplomatic vessel never reached Earth. Halfway to its destination, it found itself surrounded by 20 ships that appeared from nowhere, each bearing a name from human mythology. Hercules, Zeus, Thor, Osiris, Athena, Kali, Azanagi, Quetzalcoatl. A communication request came through on Alliance standard frequencies. When accepted, a human face appeared on the main screen. A female with dark skin and silver-streaked hair, wearing what appeared to be a formal uniform. "I am Admiral Helena Ortiz of the United Earth Fleet," she said in perfect Alliance standard language. "Your vessel has entered Earth-controlled space. State your purpose." The Alliance diplomat, a being named Telix, whose species specialized in first contact scenarios, recovered quickly from his shock. "I am Chief Diplomat Telix of the Galactic Alliance. We come with peaceful intent to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth." Admiral Ortiz's expression remained neutral. After 50 years of covert observation and classification as a low priority, Class C civilization, the Alliance suddenly wishes to establish diplomatic relations. What changed? Diplomat Telix. The direct reference to classified Alliance protocols left Telix momentarily speechless. This human not only knew about the observation program, but could quote their exact classification. "The situation in the galaxy has evolved," Telix managed. "We believe it would benefit both our civilizations to open formal relations at this time." "You mean you've encountered something you can't defeat, and your intelligence operatives observed our vessel neutralizing the Scourge ship," Ortiz replied bluntly. "Now you're hoping the delusional dreamers with their impossible myths might save the mighty Alliance." Telex's translator struggled to process the complex emotions in the human's voice: pride, anger, and something else, perhaps amusement. We may have misinterpreted certain aspects of human development, Telex conceded carefully. Admiral Ortiz smiled then, a human expression that her species used to convey multiple emotions, not all of them friendly. The Alliance dismissed our fictional narratives as evidence of our primitive thinking, she said. You never understood that our stories weren't mere entertainment. They were aspirations, blueprints. When we tell stories of beings who can fly, move mountains, or travel between stars, we're not deluding ourselves. We're challenging ourselves to make the impossible possible. She gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing the internal schematics of the Earth fleet vessels. We discovered your monitoring station 30 years ago, she continued. We studied it, learned from it, and then improved upon it. We didn't just copy your technology, we reimagined it. You built ships based on what you believed was physically possible. We built ours based on what we dreamed might be possible. Telex stared at the schematics in disbelief. The human vessels incorporated principles of Alliance technology, but they'd been completely transformed, integrated with systems and approaches that Alliance engineers would never have considered. The Scourge, Telex began. We know about the Scourge, Ortiz interrupted. Your monitoring station contained historical records. We've been preparing for them since we learned of their existence. The Athena was conducting a field test of our neutralization technology when it encountered the attack on your research vessel. How? The Scourge technology has resisted all our countermeasures for centuries. Admiral Ortiz's expression softened slightly. Because you approached the problem from within the boundaries of what you believed possible. We approached it from beyond those boundaries. Our fictional narratives gave us perspectives your species never considered. A new communication window opened, showing a different human, older, with white hair and deeply lined features. I'm Dr. Marcus Williams, Chief Scientist of the Earth Fleet, he said. The Scourge vessels operate on an energy absorption principle that your weapons can't overcome. But we discovered they have a critical vulnerability. Their systems can't process certain quantum frequency patterns that our ships can generate. These patterns essentially create a localized reality where their technology cannot function as designed. You changed the laws of physics? Telex asked, his translator struggling to find equivalent concepts. No, Dr. Williams smiled. We simply found a loophole in them that your scientists never imagined to look for, because your cultural framework doesn't encourage that kind of thinking. Our impossible myths do. Admiral Ortiz returned to the center of the communication. The Alliance faces extinction at the hands of the Scourge. Earth has the technology to prevent that extinction. The question now is, what kind of relationship will exist between Earth and the Alliance moving forward? Telex understood the unspoken message clearly. The humans wouldn't be joining the Alliance as a junior member, not after being dismissed and underestimated for decades. They were offering partnership, but on equal terms. What do you propose, Admiral? He asked. A new beginning, she replied. The Alliance acknowledges Earth as an equal partner in galactic affairs. In return, we will share our Scourge neutralization technology and assist in the defense of Alliance worlds. Additionally, all Alliance records regarding Earth will be revised to accurately reflect our capabilities and potential. And if the Alliance refuses, Admiral Ortiz's expression remained calm, but her eyes hardened. Then we will defend our own territory from the Scourge and allow the Alliance to face its fate alone. We've spent 30 years preparing to protect humanity. We are fully capable of continuing that mission independently. The message was delivered without malice, but with absolute certainty. Telex had conducted first contact negotiations with 17 species during his career, but never had he encountered one with such confidence. I will convey your terms to the Grand Council, Telex said. Given the circumstances, I believe they will be accepted. Excellent. Admiral Ortiz nodded. You may proceed to Earth with an escort of 2 of our vessels. The remainder of our fleet is departing immediately for the Scourge border incursion at Sector 7. That's an active combat zone, Telek said, alarmed. The Alliance has already lost 3 battle groups there. Ortiz smiled again, and this time Telex's translator recognized the emotion behind it. Determination. The Alliance lost those battles because they fought within the boundaries of what they believed possible, she said. We intend to show both the Alliance and the Scourge what becomes possible when you dare to make legends real. As the Earth fleet vessels moved into formation, each named for a figure of human mythology who had achieved the impossible, Telex finally understood what the Alliance cultural analysts had missed in their assessment of humanity. They had studied human myths and legends and seen delusions of grandeur, stories of beings accomplishing feats beyond physical possibility. What they should have seen was a declaration of intent. 3 weeks later, when the Battle of Sector 7 ended with the complete retreat of the Scourge forces and not a single Alliance world lost, the Galactic Council formally revised Earth's classification in their archives. Humanity, a species that doesn't recognize impossible as a permanent condition, but merely as a challenge not yet overcome. Alliance protocols recommend approaching with respect, partnership, and an open mind to possibilities previously unconsidered. The age of human legends made real had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.